This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Hey, good morning, Bears fans. How you doing? It's a Sunday, and well, we have no football in Chicago. Not till next year. But we got playoffs to watch and coaches to interview. Hey, Woody, how you doing this morning?
Peachy, a little bit under the weather still, but I'm doing good.
I suppose the weather's got you under the weather.
No, you don't get sick from weather. Thank you, COVID, again.
Oh, geez. Oh no. Yeah, I've been seeing the pictures of the snow, and I've been admiring it from the internet on in Florida. So,
Beautiful
quick
white
question:
snow.
did you watch the games last night or yesterday?
I watched a little bit. I was working during the Chargers game, but I was watching the other Pennsylvania team losing. Haha. But yeah,
Yeah,
I was
the
watching that
Chargers
game.
game was funny. It was like 6-0. Antonio Brown posts on Twitter. He's like, "This is the most boring game ever." Not 30 seconds after he tweets that broken play happens, and then the Texans took off. It was like, "Geez, thanks, AB." And then yeah, watching the Steelers lose. I mean, everyone saw that coming. Like
Yep.
they ended up what? Was that a 6-game losing streak the end of the year on now, or is it a 5?
I'm not
5
too
or
sure. I know it was Steelers' 6th playoff loss in a row.
8 years since they've won a playoff game. So that begs the question. And I saw on Steelers Twitter last night, they want Tomlin out of there. They don't even want him going to the office this morning. That they're like, just leave his ass there. Don't even bring him back to Pittsburgh. I mean,
Oh,
I was saying all week on the morning show, hey, Tomlin, there's a good chance he could get fired if they lose. And of course, my Packer brethren on the show said, "Oh no, you're crazy. 8 winning seasons, they'll never fire him, or 15 winning seasons in a row, whatever. They'll never fire him." Well, they lost, and the fans are calling for his head, and I get it. I mean, it's like you go to playoffs for the last 8 years, or have 8 winning seasons and can't get past the first round of the playoffs. I get it. Their mentality's like, dude, it's great you got us to the playoffs, but the one extra game a year ain't doing nothing for us.
no.
So, what do you think the odds are of Tomlin being let go in Pittsburgh, either today or tomorrow?
I don't see it. Man, it's hard to say. Um, I'm going back to the because you said about the playoff. I said about the playoff losses and stuff like that. They wanted him gone after Tim Tebow beat him in the playoffs. I don't think they'll get rid of him. I really don't. I mean, fans can say what they want, but fans don't make the decisions. They just cry. So I don't think they get rid of him. I don't.
I mean, I think there's
There's a
serious talk.
possibility, but I
I
wouldn't
think,
trade for him if he doesn't.
yeah. Well, one team's already inquired about trading for him. Look at Antonio Brown this morning tweets a video and that how Tomlin was like a dad to him. Usually, when players do that, that means even they are kind of like, they're trying to pump him up a little bit so that he doesn't lose a job, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to make that comment to ownership or the GM. Hey, look, you don't want to get rid of this guy when they do stuff like that. I think there's a good possibility he could be, hitting the unemployment. Hell, there were fans at the game in Baltimore from Pittsburgh, and one of them brought a fake LinkedIn profile board for Tomlin that she was holding up at the end of the game. Like, Pittsburgh fans came to the game with signs for Tomlin being fired. As they went to the game, they brought these, and it wasn't like she made out a marker. No, this was like a nice looking, like she had it made, right? His nice little picture. It looked just like LinkedIn. I was like, oh wow, she put some time, effort, and money into this thing. And she took it to the game with her, and she's like obviously, decked out in Pittsburgh gear, a fan. She bought good tickets. She paid a pretty penny for them. It's just interesting. Good morning, Chad, or good afternoon in your case.
What's up, Chad?
I don't know. I think Tomlin, I would call it a 50-50 ball right now.
There's always a chance, but that girl with the sign, I wonder what she was going to do with the sign if Steelers won.
Just not show it.
The only sign I brought the games before, especially hockey. Big sign, I would say the asshole behind me can't see. That's my sign.
That's your go-to sign for any sport, isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, I have a little update. I don't speak very much, which you guys already know, but Mike Tomlin has a no-trade clause.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, and also Mike Vrabel has been hired as the head coach of the New England Patriots. We all saw that coming. Yeah, Tomlin has a no-trade clause. One team. Oh, what was the team? Mike, you know what the team was, or did they say what the team was? Yeah, I see that Tomlin has no trade clause. I'm trying to see. There was a report that at least one team inquired about him. Oh, also Deion Sanders is interested in the Raiders job. That's another interesting story there.
Well, yeah, of course, because Raiders need a quarterback, and his kid will be there.
Yeah, but hey, good morning. Hey, good morning, Dan. Hope you're feeling better, brother.
Hey, congratulations on beating Penn State's ass. I love it. Love it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, oh, yeah, the thing with Deion, though, like, he said he wants both his kids on any team he coaches in the NFL. Like, okay, so even if the Raiders could figure out a way to get his son a quarterback, they're going to have a hard time trading back in the first round again to get the other one. So I don't see that happening.
It's not saying what team contacted him, but it is saying multiple teams.
No, now they're saying multiple teams. Okay, so I mean, I think there's a 50-50. I think it's a good 50-50 chance he may be unemployed. And if he's not employed, he's definitely on the hot seat for next year. Like, at this point, because remember, he was on the hot seat last year because they had a losing season. That was going to be the excuse. Well, then he pulled out a winning season. They ain't going to make the playoffs, right? But they got the winning season. It's like, okay, well, you're fine. So extension time. Cool. Now he takes this team this year, gets blown out in the playoffs, one and done again. He's got to be on the hot seat. His seat's got to be on fire when that season starts next year if he actually has a job after the end of this week.
We'll see.
So, and now Vrabel, guys, he's off the radar. I think a lot of us would have liked. He would have been one of the guys we wouldn't have minded being our head coach. But I mean, look, I'm surprised the Pats didn't hire him last year.
I'm leaning to. I was thinking about this too, and if you would, I would like to see Joe Brady, see how he'd be at a Bears coach. I mean, the way he groomed Allen and the way that offense is. I honestly don't think Ben Johnson's going to Chicago. I know all the hype and everything like that. Oh, we're going to interview this guy. Oh, Ben Johnson, this. I wouldn't mind it, but I don't think Ben Johnson's going to Chicago.
So Ben Johnson interviewed yesterday as well as his cohort from Detroit. They both interviewed yesterday. I like that the Bears are treating everyone the same with the interview process in the first round. Everyone's a 2-hour video call. And that, if you think about it, I mean, that gives them the same look at Pete Carroll as they're getting at Ben Johnson, right? 2-hour video call, so everyone's getting the fair shake, if you will, which means that, we're not going to have like another Flores situation. Well, they only hired me because of the Rooney Rule or because, no, they're giving everyone the same shake in this round. And you know, all right, Chad. I don't think we're picking from the bottom of the barrel because Vrabel's gone.
Mm-mm.
I don't think that means that at all. I mean, I know there are some Bears fans though that kind of share that sentiment, like, "Oh, great, Vrabel's gone. Now we're gonna get screwed again." I mean,
There's a lot of upcoming coaches that could be good in Chicago.
Ben Johnson could be good. Vrabel, well, obviously would have been okay. Carroll could be good. Cliff
No.
Kingsbury could
Oh
be a
my God.
possibility. I don't know if I'd be happy with that.
No.
Um, and then look at when the Packers hired Matt LaFleur, like no one besides Packer backer Ken wanted that guy as the head coach. Now they love the guy. So I think we put way too much stock into, oh, well, this guy was the head coach somewhere else. Like I know I really like Pete Carroll as the head coach. He's got a great resume, but it doesn't mean he's going to be the right head coach for Chicago. Let's remember John Fox when he came to Chicago, right? Oh, his last two teams he was with, he turned them around and made them playoff contending teams and went to a Super Bowl with them. And he came here and was like the worst coach we've ever had.
Well, Mike Martz.
Mike Martz was a great OC for the
Yep.
St. Louis Rams for the greatest show on turf. And when
Mhm.
Lovey brought him here, he was shit.
Yep.
So I think fans get too emotionally invested in a name versus let's see what they actually do. No matter who the Bears hire, Woody, half the fan base is going to be, or maybe you can even break it down the quarters. A quarter of the fan base is going to be through the roof. Another
Mhm.
quarter is like, okay, I like it. Let's see. Okay, I don't like it. Let's see. And oh my God, we're doomed forever. Those are the four responses we'll probably see.
Every year. I don't. You never know about Kingsbury either. I mean, look how he was in Arizona. You never know. He could work out somewhere else. He coached Caleb Williams as well, but it's hard to say.
When you look at like guys who coach, like why would you want a guy who got fired from somewhere else? I
Mhm.
hate to tell you, but almost most coaches have been fired somewhere else. I mean, like look at Rex Ryan's career. Look at um Belichick. He got fired as a head coach and then moved on. I mean, they learn just like players, and you do at your job. You learn OJT on someone. The only way you can learn to be a head coach is to be a head coach. So it's always OJT as a head coach. And your first go around, you might be terrible, and then your next go around, you might be the best ever. Like Matt Nagy will probably be a
Wow,
good head coach if he gets hired again.
that's amazing. That's be another good coach is Romo. But anyway, I was
Dude,
just reading
Romo
this. I was just reading this stat. Are you watching this too? But Buffalo Bills only gave up 14 sacks this year.
Yeah.
14.
And Denver gave up the most with 63.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So times 18, that's how many times Caleb Williams got sacked.
I'm surprised Romo's name never comes up for like offensive coordinator or a coaching gig.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because if anybody listened to him commentating a game, he calls the plays before they even play,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Yeah, Chad, I heard that too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He's going to be a good DC. And Saleh, I think, is waiting because he's got some head coach interviews, but I think he'll end up being a DC somewhere too. And if we hire an offensive-minded coach, I would not mind Robert Saleh as our DC because he's the guy who designed that San Francisco 49er defense that was murdering people. And the thing is he plays the same 4-3 his base is the same base as what we're in now. So there's not going to be a change of base for scheme.
Well, Chad, I think if Andy Reid doesn't retire, he might go somewhere, Matt Nagy. But if he retires, Matt Nagy would be crazy not to stay there.
I think he's the heir apparent in KC if he retires at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I know Nola interviewed him. He's taking interviews. I know that. I've seen that he's taking interviews, but I'm not surprised about Flus going back as a DC. That's a good move by him. He'll be a head coach. You'll be hearing his name for head coach in 2 or 3 years again. It makes sense. It does make sense. I think Salah is our DC. What should we get? Ben Johnson would make. Excuse me.
I guess Eberflus is hurting because he's only making 20,000 a day.
Yeah.
So he wanted to get hired
Is it a
again.
day or is it a week?
I thought it was a day.
I mean, he's still getting paid for the next 2 years. So
Right. Yep.
yeah, he's hurting for that cash. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens if Tomlin ends up in the mix. Woody, if let's say he gets fired today or tomorrow, would you want the Bears kicking the tires or hiring him? I mean, what would your gut feeling on that be?
Tomlin?
Yeah,
I would take a chance on him. I mean, he has all these winning seasons in Pittsburgh. With our offense the way it looks, and if we keep it all together for next year, I think it's every coach's dream to go there with all this talent on this. If we can get some offensive linemen, an edge rusher, yeah, I would take a chance on it.
I mean, we are now the most attractive job left on the market because
Yep.
I understood the argument they made on how New England was only because they had more cap space, but we've got the most cap space of the available coaching jobs. We've got 4 picks in the top 74, top 73.
I think we have 9 total. Right?
I thought we had 7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, but we got 4 in the top 73 or something.
Now, is that counting the 6th rounder for Fields?
Yeah, because we traded away a few picks after the draft last year when we brought people in.
All right.
The further back pick. But I mean, you've got a team now with roughly $80 million before they raise the cap. When they raise the cap, it'll be about $100 million. So you got about 100. You're gonna have about $100 million in cap. You're gonna have 4 picks in the top 73. You've got your franchise quarterback of the future, most likely in Caleb there. You've got your running back. Your running back room is solid. Your wide receiving room is solid. Your tight end room is pretty solid. Your defense is pretty solid. Your offensive line isn't horrendous. It just needs some tweaking. It needs maybe an everyday right guard, a left tackle, possibly depending on the injury to Jones, if he's going to be back early, or a left guard, or a guy who can play both. And yeah, like you said, an edge rusher. And if you're telling me you can't find an edge rusher and 2 or 3 or 4 offensive linemen between the draft and free agency to bolster your offensive line and your depth, I mean, then you're smoking something. I mean, look at free agency isn't great if you're going to stay under the age of 30, but if Foles is willing to sign a 32-year-old, there are some good offensive linemen that could be had at good prices, and there's some that could be had at big prices, which would be great too. And you've got the money to do it. We just signed a guy this week. He's a left. Well, he's an offensive lineman. Was he a left guard, left tackle? He's been in the league 2 years. He missed most of last year with injury. I think was a guy that we probably looked at in the draft and didn't get. And so Foles, signed him because it cost us nothing to bring this guy in. He's going to be coming into his 3rd year, so maybe the guy's finally getting there. He was out.
Yeah, we claimed him. We claimed him off waivers, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Right.
So it cost us nothing. So I'm cool with that. Look, he's already trying to address it. But I mean, so if you're Pete Carroll, you're Ben Johnson, or you're Tomlin, I mean, this job is like, yes, please.
Yep, definitely.
What's scary is, how many coaches the Steelers have had since 1969?
3?
Yeah.
Yep.
3.
Yep.
Of the 3, Tomlin would be the 2nd longest tenure.
Bill Cowher.
Bill Cowher had 1 year less. He passed him last year, I think it was. But
remember when Bill Cowher, when he was out, the Bears were talking about him being a coach too, bringing him back. But
yeah, and he just said, "No, I'm gonna retire and do this."
I'm good.
So that's interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens because I can understand Pittsburgh fans like, dude, 8 years, nothing. I mean, like we saw this in Cincinnati. Who was the head coach in Cincinnati that was like that? They
Marv
were
Levy?
always a good team, but could never get there. And they finally fired him.
Not Marv Levy.
Yeah, it was Marv. No, it was Marv
Oh,
Lewis.
Marvin Lewis? No, hold on.
No.
Hold on. It's killing me now.
They finally fired him.
Yeah, no.
And then they went to the Super Bowl and got smoked by the Rams. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Marvin Lewis. Wow. So I was.
Okay. So it's interesting though, now that and we had interviewed Vrabel. I guess the Jets made a late push for Vrabel, so I guess Rex Ryan didn't have the job as easily as he thought he did. Rex Ryan might not get that job. Interesting. The coaching carousel is interesting for the Bears. We've got now 14 people left on the list because Vrabel's off it. I don't know. I almost, I mean, look at it's early. We got about 3 weeks really before we make a decision.
Yep.
What do you want to see in the next coach? Like, what's the important things for you personally for the next head coach?
Somebody to groom Caleb Williams. That's why I was leaning towards an offensive-minded coach. That's why I was saying either Kellen Moore or Joe Brady. But then on the other side of that is if we get a great offensive lineman or offensive coordinator that can groom him, then get a defensive-minded coach. But we had the defensive-minded coaches, and yeah, our defense was working out, but our offense couldn't score shit. Well, last year we could, especially on the first drive of the game. But it depends who we get in as offensive coordinator. I know Thomas Brown. It kind of amazes me, though, that he gets hired as the intern coach, but then he gets screwed. So he won't be on the Chicago coaching staff next year.
He just interviewed for an OC job.
He did?
Yeah, I saw he interviewed for an OC position. Was it Seattle or somewhere like that?
Let's see.
It was like a day or two.
That's where my dilemma is. If we get a great offensive coordinator that can groom him, yeah, get a defensive minded coach. But if we bringing in a brand new offensive coordinator that we don't know how he's going to work out, then I would get an offensive minded coach that can groom Caleb Williams.
So when we had offensive minded coaches, our defenses went to shit normally. When we had defensive minded coach, our offense usually goes shit. You're right. We never seem to get the OC-DC combo together. Pete Carroll, I kind of like because he kind of bridges that gap a little bit. He's a defensive minded coach who's known as a quarterback whisperer. Now, the guy was an OC in his early part of his career. That might have something to do with it, too. But then when he got to the NFL, he was basically a DC, and then he went, the head coach route. He would be interesting to me. I agree with you, though. If we get a defensive-minded coach, bring me a good DC OC with you. If we're going to hire, let's say, like Ben Johnson, cool. Bring me a guy like Robert Saleh as your DC. Like, you got to have a good coordinator for the other side of the ball, whatever side of the ball you specialize. And that's got to be the key. And if you're going to be a Gruden guy, then you got to bring two good coordinators. Because, I mean, look at what's happening in Detroit. Dan Campbell didn't design that offense. He didn't design that defense. His coordinators did. And he's just managing his coordinators. Like, I wouldn't even mind a head coach like that if we could bring in two good coordinators. Hey, good morning, Cam.
What's up, Cam?
So, I mean, I'm not as wrapped up in the name like a lot of the fan bases. I mean, I would kick the tires at least. If he gets fired in Pittsburgh, I'd do the interview, see what he's got to say, see who he might bring in. The thing about Tomlin is he would be a culture change for certain. There would be a culture change in Chicago if he came in. but I think that's going to be true of any coach. Well, I mean, I don't know about Ben Johnson, to be honest with you. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
he's
don't.
buddy or if he's a hard-nosed guy.
You don't see any emotions on the sidelines with him though. He's just like cool, calm, because he's working with a great team.
Yeah, well, you
But
see him get fired up when they score, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough, and I'm with you though. I want a guy who brings in good coaches with them, whether they're offensive or defensive. I don't care either way what they are. I've said that from the jump. Vrabel being gone kind of sucks. I would have liked that. But it's going to be what's going to be. And let's be clear, I don't get this either. Some reporter, and this knucklehead reporter, I don't know why reporters are so stupid these days. No matter what they're covering, politics, sports, these guys are just freaking stupid. He asked George McCaskey, what's the power structure, right? Because head coaches don't want to come to Chicago because they don't know what the power structure is and they don't know their chain of command. And McCaskey kind of gives him this look like, well, it's simple, really. The head coach, reports to the GM. The GM reports to the president of football operations, which is Warren. And then Warren reports to ownership. It's vertical. And the report goes, yeah, but who are they going to report to? Is the new head coach going to report to you? No,
yeah,
I just
yeah,
told you
yeah.
we report to the GM. Who they
No,
report to.
no, Chad. We're not talking about Marvin Lewis going to Chicago. We were bringing up a Cincinnati coach.
Yeah, because he had won for years in Cincinnati, and they finally let him go after he couldn't take him far enough in the playoffs. Kind of like what Tomlin's situation is right now in Pittsburgh.
And did you hear about this weekend that Ian Cunningham got a GM interview?
Yeah, he got one last year too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's just funny though. Like the media keeps trying to drum up this story. He's like, dude, the dude head coach report to Poles report to Warren reports to ownership. This isn't hard. Yeah, but is he really going to report to him, or is he going to report to you? Once again, I mean, it's like, dude, like how stupid do you have to be? Keep asking him the same question. And the thing is, like, these are the idiot reporters that get idiot fans going, oh well, McCaskey's making all the decisions. Poles isn't hiring them. The coach, it's like they tell you this straight up. Here's the chain of command. Here's how it works here, and they don't listen. Yeah, there's, Sarah. I don't know how much I believe these. I don't know if you've seen these, Woody, but they've got and good morning, Sarah. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Sarah. Good luck.
They get these reports of like the post-interview reports that get leaked to the media. Like there was one, like Carroll's went very, very well. He had a plan for this. Oh, this guy, he didn't really have a plan for okay, the only people in this meeting were probably the candidate, Poles, and Warren, right?
Mm-hmm.
How the hell would anyone else know how this interview went?
Leaky.
I mean, I don't think Poles or Warren are going to their assistant saying, jot down these notes. And the candidate wouldn't know if they tanked it like that, or that they didn't. Where do these reports come from? Like, really? I mean, I don't know, Sarah, when you listen to some of his current players, like St. Brown after the Monday night game, the dude was gushing all over John. I mean, he was gushing over. So I don't know. I don't know how much I would believe those reports.
But Sarah, I believe you though.
Yes, we always believe Sarah. So, and Sarah, if you got the link, you can still come on. The link hasn't changed.
Yeah, you got to put your camera on too. I don't care if you're just getting up.
There you go. Challenge thrown. We'll find out in a minute. Yeah, that link I sent you, Sarah, before on X, that's still a good link. You can click on that, come in. You should be able to. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I believe any of those reports. Well, yeah,
don't
but look, if they had their guy in Vrabel, though, Sarah. I mean, the dude won 3 rings with them, so it's just like a guy coming home. I mean, and you can't. They could have hired Ben, but they couldn't hire Ben today. They'd have to wait until he's out of the playoffs, which could be next week, theoretically. Lions fans are going to start pouring in. How dare you? But they could be out next week with the rest of the NFC North. And then, yeah, Ben Johnson could get hired next week. But, that wasn't their guy. Is this Sarah coming in?
Yep.
Yep, here's Sarah. God damn it. Hold on. There we go. Hi. There we go.
Nope.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, Sarah.
Can you hear me cooking?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't
It's
see you
murder, right?
cooking now.
Okay.
You got
Yeah,
the
What are you
sorry, I'm
making?
making lunch before I got to go to work.
Oh.
But
So
anyway,
what do you think about your playoff game?
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, it depends on if Sam wigs out or not. So it was already a successful season. So I mean, I don't really care either way. I mean, I would like to advance, but if we don't, we far exceeded our expectations.
Because I said, at the beginning of the year, I thought Vikings were going to have anywhere near a season that they had. So the two my surprising teams were the Chargers and Minnesota. And hopefully Minnesota doesn't work out like the Chargers did yesterday.
Well, I think the Chargers' problem is they only have one weapon for Herbert, and that's it. They got rid of all his weapons, and that's what happens when you know.
Well, and they got to the playoffs. That's a surprise. That's what I was saying.
Right. And I mean, for even though he's not a first-year coach, it's his first time coaching in the NFL in years again. So I mean, he came in and changed that culture.
So, Sarah, what do you think about Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh? Do you think he's gone, or do you think they keep him for another year?
I think they keep him.
Now, is he on the hot seat for next year to win a playoff game?
I don't feel like he's on the hot seat at all.
So I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, I was on Steeler Twitter last night, and their Steeler fans on Twitter were like,
Yeah, they
leave
want
his
his head.
ass in Baltimore. Don't even let him get on the plane.
Well, and what I find funny is these people are so freaking used to winning that they I'm like, if you get rid of him, who do you think out there is going to do better than him?
Well, so let me ask you this. Let's say for the next 7 years, KOC gets you to the playoffs and you're one and done every time.
I mean,
Cool. We
I
rewind
guess
10 more
if
years.
I like KOC, I would still want to keep KOC because he can develop quarterbacks.
Yeah, but okay, so let's say you guys go to the playoffs for the next 7 years, and yeah, he develops JJ, but you never get past the first round of the playoffs. That's basically the situation you've got in Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, but he won a Super Bowl for them.
Okay, but for the last 8 years,
ago.
he hasn't gotten them past the first round.
Go talk to teams like the Jets and see how they feel about never even making to the playoffs.
Or talk like back then with the Bills, they made it 4 straight Super Bowls and lost. They got there, but they kept losing. So
right.
every team's aspect is winning the Super Bowl every year.
Right.
And like even when people bring up Shanahan, it's like, well, he's gotten to the Super Bowl twice, but he can't win the big game, so maybe San Francisco moves on. Okay, why can't we apply that to Tomlin, who can't get past the first round? And a lot of people say the only reason he got that Super Bowl was because of the previous coach.
He won the Super Bowl his second year, right?
Yeah.
Coaching.
Yeah. Something like that, yeah. And he hasn't been – they have not been to an AFC Championship game in 8 years. They have not been past the first round in 8 years. So I can understand why that fan base is like, all right, we got to get someone here who can take us to the next level because Tomlin obviously can't do it anymore. That's what they're saying. And I get it. It makes sense if you think about it that way.
They need a player like Big Ben again, because that's basically who brought him there damn near every time.
So he can't develop a quarterback then, is what you're saying.
I didn't say can't. That's not what I was saying.
Well, he
Like,
had
I don't see him getting fired or let go either. I mean, he's always got a winning season. Yeah, he can't do it the past 8 years, but like she said, he's got a Super Bowl. I mean, we fired Lovey in a 10-win season. Anything can happen. I just don't see it.
I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals did that with Lewis, Marvin Lewis, Marv Levy,
Mhm.
and well, did he
Buffalo.
retire or get fired from Buffalo?
I'm not sure. I think he would probably retire.
Probably retired.
You got me blocked.
The Packers did it with McCarthy. Oh, you had a losing season. Later, you won us the Super Bowl, and we've been in playoffs every year. So, I mean, I give it a 50. For me, it's a 50-50 ball. Frank Reich to the Bears. I don't know about that.
Nah. We had a problem with Indianapolis coaches.
Yeah. So for me, it's a 50-50 ball. And that's kind of like if you look at Minnesota, would take KOC for the next 7 years, gets to the playoffs, and you never get past the first round. I bet Minnesota fans would be like, all right, KOC's got to go. I mean, and I get it because they're so used to going to the playoffs, so used to, being at the top of the division or near the top of the division year in and year out. It makes sense. So I think I kind of agree with Cam more on that side of it. And I say it's a 50-50 call whether he gets fired. If he doesn't get fired, I think his hot seat is this year. And if he doesn't win a playoff game next year, he's gone.
I was just gonna say, like, what are you talking about? People want to fire KOC every time we lose a game here.
Well, Sarah, I want to, because I've been hearing a lot of rumors this week. Brian Flores staying, or is he going?
Staying.
If he has a chance, you think he's staying 100%?
Yeah, he said. I mean, I think so because he said it would have to be the right situation for him to leave, and so I'm looking at all these openings, and I just don't see like a really good situation where he's gonna want to leave because I mean this is his second time around, and if he fails, most likely he's never gonna get another opportunity.
So he's interviewing with the Bears.
Well, he said he's gonna take interviews, but he's gonna take interviews, but it would have to be something that he feels it's a right fit for him in order for him to leave.
Well, like other coaches with the right fit. I mean, Vic Fangio was our defensive coordinator, and he thought going to Denver, he just wanted to be a head coach. That wasn't obviously that right fit for him. Now he's in fucking Philly. So
yeah, and so that's why I said, like, I think like because he's done it once before, so now he's gonna be more choosy about like because you know how his fallout with Miami had a lot to do with the front office issues too,
Well, yeah, that was the whole tanking for Tua and all that.
Yeah, noise. And so I think he's going to be very picky on what the front office looks like, who's running what and all that. Because like I said, I mean, this is his second time around, and usually you don't get a third chance to be a head coach. And so I think he's going to be very picky on where he goes because he knows this is his last chance.
I think these guys being picky like that can also backfire, and that may turn teams away. I mean, look, I agree with your argument to a large part there. Like, you don't get more than two chances, for a lot of these guys. But then again, if you come to, I mean, like if I'm him, I'm probably staying away from NOLA. It's complete rebuild. You don't want or the Jets. Like that crap, I'd stay away from those teams if I'm him.
Like, no offense, but I wouldn't pick Chicago either, just because I think he will work better with a veteran quarterback. Because
wait, you think he'd work better what?
You know how he had issues with Tua and all that. I think he would be in a better situation if he went to a team that had like a veteran
established quarterback.
All right. Yeah, established quarterback that he didn't have to like groom and all that. I think that would be better for him just because.
But he doesn't.
You got to think. You got to think though. The coaching vacancies out there. you look at all the teams that need coaches. Which one of them really have an established quarterback?
Yeah, that's why I don't think he's gonna leave.
Well, no, I think Chicago actually, though, Sarah, based off your criteria, is the best option for him because Caleb is way far ahead of what you would think of a rookie quarterback as far as his play and his numbers. In fact, a lot of the rookies this year were, right? But if he brings in a good offensive coordinator, he doesn't have to groom him on being a quarterback. He just has to groom him on being a professional, which I think Flores would definitely be a good change in the organization as far as he would bring that strictness, he would bring that work ethic, which would help Caleb. And if he has a good OC, then the rest, gets taken care of on that side of the ball, on that side of the coaching tree. And he doesn't have to mentor a quarterback. He's a defensive coach. I wouldn't expect him to mentor the quarterback. I expect him to give him certain tools, though, like work ethic, and it looks like Caleb's already got a lot of that based off what we've seen this year and heard. I don't know if that would be a bad situation for him. But the question would be is like, who's his OC going to be?
Well, people from reports I've been seeing, they're linking him and McCown together. That wherever if he goes, he ends up being a head coach. Wherever he goes, he's taking McCown with him.
Wow. Wait, which McCown is this, Cade?
Huh?
Which McCown is this?
Josh, our quarterback coach.
Okay. Oh, Josh McCown. Okay.
Yeah, because he's the
he was a Bear
coach right now.
Yeah, he was a Bear quarterback. I mean, that might not be a bad thing. Speaking of former Bears, we are going to interview Ron Rivera. That was brought out yesterday. But I would not mind Flores. He's one of the guys I wouldn't mind. I think he would bring the culture change to the team that we need. And that might be more of a need than the actual development of Caleb, because I think, that if it's a defensive coach, as long as you've got some good offensive coaches with you, you hire good offensive coaches, that's going to take care of itself. I mean, if you hire an offensive-minded coach like Ben Johnson, then you automatically assume he's going to be the guy that does that. But that's not necessarily the case, right? Some offensive coordinators aren't great at mentoring quarterbacks. They're great coordinators, but they have to have a good quarterback coach that does that for them. I mean, that's what I'm saying. People just think, oh, well, the head coach is automatically going to be the guy who grooms a rookie quarterback. Like, no, dude, it's like the quarterback coach. And
right. That's why when everybody was saying Ben Johnson to Chicago, I'm like, but who has he really developed? Because when he got Goff was already developed, you know. So
McVay had him.
It's not like he had to I mean, of course, he made Goff better. I'm not taking that away from him at all. But who has he really developed? When he had Stafford was already in the system for years and years. And so, I'm not saying that he's not going to be a good head coach, but I'm just saying that, these all these teams that are just clamoring for him. It's like,
well, it's because there's a big thing this year, and the offense is rolling. I mean, look at it. At one point, it was Grable was that guy, right? I mean, New York. Nagy.
And it's easy to run an offense high power like that when you have the offensive line to do so. But what happens if, he's linked to the Raiders? The Raiders has a shittier offensive line than Chicago. So how's that going to work? You know what I mean?
Are you saying Chicago has a shitty O-line?
Yeah, but the Raiders is worse.
I didn't think Chicago did. I wasn't watching all year.
But you know what I mean? It's like it's easy to call plays and be successful when you have all these you have people at skill positions to execute them and to execute them and to block for and all that. But what happens when you go to a team that's completely bare? I don't know. Just from the reports I've heard about him, it just kind of turned me off about him. And I don't think he would be a good fit for you guys because you guys are young and going through a lot of turmoil. You need somebody that has a veteran.
Well, I don't know. I won't say it's because we're young and going through turmoil as much as the players even said we need a guy who's going to hold us accountable and work our asses off in practice and be breathing down our back. And Flus wasn't that guy. And I don't know if Ben Johnson's that guy.
And the thing is, they were reporting that he's a very introvert guy who has a hard time with interpersonal communication skills. So how is he going to be able to command your locker room to get all the guys to buy in?
Right, and that's where I'm at. That's why I'm like, where Flores coming in, like when that dude walks in the building, dude, you know he's in charge, right? And he's going to let you know what he wants. That's why Flores, I think, in Chicago actually might work. I think Carroll works that way. I think Aaron Glenn could work that way. You know, Vrabel obviously works that way. Like they're going to know he's the coach in New England. You know,
you're right.
No question. Ben Johnson, though, yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of like, how is he going to get players to buy in? How is he going to? If he's an introvert? It's really hard to be an introvert. Not that you can't be a successful leader, but if he has problems with interpersonal communication with players, well, then how are you going to change that culture? Because now you're just Matt Eberflus.
Right. And I mean, I don't know if these reports are true, but I mean, it's kind of like, well, why didn't the Patriots hire him? They interviewed him, you know?
Yeah, but Vrabel was their guy. I mean, Vrabel makes sense, though. It's a homecoming. It's a guy who won 3 rings with them, was a really good coach in Tennessee. Tennessee fucked up and fired him. And last year, I think they hired the guy just because that was the plan.
Well, it was in his contract, so it's not like they could get out of it, you know?
Right. So, but that was the plan, and now it's like, all right, well, we gave you a shot. Now we're going to get the guy we really wanted. And that might be why Vrabel didn't take a head coaching job last year, because he knew this was going to happen. Or had an idea that it would. We need Bill Cowher. We're not going to get Bill Cowher.
He loves CBS too much.
But
and
oh, wait, we got 2 updates and breaking news. What is it, Woody?
That's me. That's Mike. He's under my name, which he loves that.
Mike? What's the breaking news, my friend?
I didn't switch my name. Hilarious. Thanks, Woody.
No problem, bud.
No,
you look good in that name.
First one is the Jets. They're completely out on Rex Ryan. He will not be back.
Wow.
And the other one is, it is Bears news. They want to interview Notre Dame's head coach, Marcus.
Oh, my God. See, this is...
I knew you'd love that, Woody.
Are you fucking kidding?
You know what's funny is I said that on Twitter the other day, and everyone's like, "Oh, there's no way in hell you just signed an extension 2 weeks ago." It's like, and
why would you want to? It's like Harbaugh. Harbaugh stayed in Michigan, won his title, blah blah blah. He's having a great year in Notre Dame. I hate to say, because I hate Notre Dame number 2 in my college football. But why would you? I don't want to get a college fucking coach. I don't. They don't. I think Pete Carroll was the only one that really worked out.
1 of 4. There are 4 guys who have won an NCAA championship and a Super Bowl ring.
So
Carroll is one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Notre Dame.
They had experience in the NFL before going back to college and then coming back to the NFL, right? Right.
Well, just think about Eric Bieniemy. He went to college and now he stepped down. He's not the offensive coordinator anymore. So I'm wondering what he's going to do as well.
But the guy from Notre Dame, I mean, look, after the Orange Bowl win, and ESPN tried to race bait him, and he didn't take the race bait. They're like, "Oh, well, you're the first black coach," blah blah. He's like, and he don't want to have any of that. He's like, "Yeah, this is about the team and how the team is doing. It's not about me." Like he totally shut them down. And I said, this is why he's on NFL. And it had already been reported he was on the radar for several NFL teams. And everyone on Twitter, "Oh, no, he just signed an extension 2 weeks ago." It's like, dude, it doesn't matter. He signed an extension 2 weeks ago. He's probably got an out clause if he gets an NFL offer. Most of these guys in college do. Belichick even does, but his is with a $10 million buyout, which the NFL team would probably pay. So I mean, these guys got buyouts. So I mean, if he wins a national championship, I would kick the tires if I were him to go coach in the NFL.
So you're telling me if Ryan Day of Ohio State wins a national title and he wants to go to NFL, you accept him in Chicago?
I think that people would kick the tires at least.
Fuck
at
that.
minimum,
I don't want that motherfucker on that team, on our team either.
and interview him. I mean, but I'm not surprised that this guy. Look at the guy. This guy in Notre Dame has done a great job. Notre Dame's done a crappy program for years, and now they're not.
1 year. Fuck.
Well,
And
I think I know he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Are you guys interviewing Cliff?
Kingsbury?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You guys just can't talk to any of these guys because most of them are in the playoffs, right?
Right. Yeah, so Mike, unless you're like the New England Patriots and Vrabel's your guy, no one's hiring anyone until guys get eliminated. So like, that's what we couldn't, even if we wanted to hire Ben Johnson after yesterday, we couldn't. Technically.
I don't know. I'm really interested in Joe Brady. I don't know. I just thought about it this morning, and the way he works with Josh Allen, I would give him a shot.
Well,
Definitely.
He was part of that 2019 LSU Joe Burrow team, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. I mean, look, the Bears have a plethora of interesting candidates. They are the team that if you're looking to make your first head coaching gig or a return to head coaching, I mean, it's a pretty good situation if you think about it, because your needs are, I need 2 to 4 offensive linemen for starting / depth. I need an edge, and I'm going to have roughly $100 million when they raise the cap. I got to put 21 or 22 people on the roster, so some of that cap and that roster space be re-signed, like Jack Sanborn, will be one of those guys. Probably Tevin Jenkins, who at worst case is a depth guy. That's your worst case with him. Best case he stays healthy and he's a dominant left guard like he is when he's healthy. So I mean, if you're coming in for a head coaching gig, you're like, okay, I've got a quarterback. If they keep Keenan Allen, that receiving room is solid. The running back room is solid. Maybe you keep Everett at tight end. Maybe you don't. Maybe you draft one, but you got Cole Kmet, who's solid. You've got a solid defense.
Yep.
So like,
I saw an interview a while back where Justin Jefferson credited a lot of his success in college to Joe Brady.
Yeah, I like him too. I like Flores. I mean, look at Flores. Here's another reason I like Flores, Sarah, in a way for the Bears, is he runs a 4-3-D, and that's what we run. So if he comes in, there's no, year of changing scheme. It's you run the base is the base. So they're not changing base, which is good for personnel issues, right? You don't have to worry that a guy who's really good right now on this team becomes a trade cap guy, a trade away guy at the deadline because he can't adapt to going to a different base.
Well, and I mean, just look at Flores turned Andrew Van Ginkel into an All-Pro, who was never.
Oh, Van Ginkel was good when he was with Miami. I mean, you could.
Yeah, but he was never at that All-Pro level.
Sarah, I think Hard Knocks is the reason you guys signed him. To be honest with you.
And I mean, if you look at our defense, there aren't any really big names on our defense. So
you got Stephon Gilmore.
Bernard.
You got Harrison Smith. Come on now.
Well, yeah, except for Harrison Smith. But I mean, other than that, like these aren't like big household names that everybody knows.
Oh, I know them. The other thing about when you're talking about Ken, we're going to have probably 3 different new names on the offensive line next year. 3 probably.
Well, I mean, think about it. We're right tackle, we're staying the same. Right guard will probably be new. Center, I would I would say unless you can get Dahlman, it's going to be Shelton. And really, left guard and left tackle, it depends. I mean, left tackle Jones can't make the start of the season due to the injury. Then yeah, and Tevin Jenkins I think would be the starter. So really, no. I think the only new name you'll probably see for sure would be at right guard, and then maybe left tackle. As far as your everyday starters, because if Tevin Jenkins healthy, you're starting him. If you don't find an upgrade to Coleman Shelton, you're leaving him at center. I mean, he's in the top half of the NFL. I think he finished the season ranked 15th, but throughout the entire season, he was going between 8 and 15. So he's in the top half of centers. So the only center that rated higher than him that can enter free agency this year is Andrew Dahlman out of Atlanta. And I don't know if Atlanta lets the number 5th ranked center in the league walk with Penix as their quarterback.
I've seen a lot of reports tying Flores and Josh McCown to the Jets, but I don't think Flores would choose the Jets just because of all the dysfunction there.
I thought Aaron Glenn would go to the Jets as the head coach.
Well, it looks like the Saints and the Jets both want Aaron Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he interviewed in Chicago. I think we interviewed Aaron Glenn out of courtesy more than anything. I don't think Aaron Glenn is a good fit for here. But I think he'd take on a rebuild too. I think he would take on Nola or the Jets. But if you're gonna pick one, or even the Jags, I mean, if you're gonna pick a team to be a first-time head coach that needs a rebuild, those are 3 or 2 of those are in markets that aren't so bad to be in. I wouldn't want to be in New York having to rebuild that team, but Nola. Not a major market. You're going to be
but they're in cap hell.
What now?
Nola is in cap hell. I wouldn't want to deal with that mess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to have to clean house and rebuild, and the same thing in Jax is a rebuild pretty much. I mean, in some parts they got some pieces though. I think Jax has more pieces. The Jets have some pieces, but you're going to have to do some rebuilding there. And Nola's a complete.
I would go to where it's warm and I don't have to pay taxes.
So then you go to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go to Jacksonville. So we'll see what kind of news we get between now and Wednesday. Between now and then, we got the Packers playing today against the Sheagles. We know Woody wants the Packers to win because he hates the Sheagles.
Green Bay.
That's understandable. Sarah, who do you want to see win that game today?
I hate the Eagles.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, I hate the Eagles with a passion.
I love it. Thank you. I hope they get their asses kicked. You know what? It did hurt us, and I did tell this in 2012. I wanted Green Bay to win. Green Bay did beat the Sheagles, and then Green Bay came back and kicked our asses in Chicago.
And then we've got.
As long as they beat the Eagles, though, right?
Yeah, I know.
And then we got the game that's being played in Phoenix, Arizona. So Cam will be there, right? I hope, Cam, you got tickets.
I think that's going to be a home game for us.
Actually, I would. If Cam is still watching, he'd be good to ask. He lives there, but we only got about a minute left or 30 seconds.
Sarah, good luck. I wish you the luck. You guys had a hell of a season.
I think a lot of Cardinal fans will cheer for the Rams because it's a division team. I don't know.
I hate the Rams.
My upset. That's my upset. Green Bay. My other upset. I have the Commanders over Tampa.
Yeah, that game's gonna be good today too. Well, guys, they're singing the national anthem there in Buffalo as the Bills get ready to take on the Broncos, the overachievers that they are. I think that. Does anyone think the Bills lose this game real quick?
No. But Bo Nick's great year. Yeah.
So this game is about to wrap up the national anthem. So we'll let you all go to see that. Don't forget tomorrow morning and every morning, Monday through Friday, we got Ken and Ken in the morning at 10 Central, 11 Eastern. We will be back here at Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. It may just be Woody and I, 2 guys who have no opinions, talking about football.
Go Pack, go! Let's go!
Go Pack, go! Ew.
Thank you, Sarah, for joining us this morning as you made your lunch, and everyone else.
That was good.
Be safe. If you're in Cali, stay safe. And enjoy the games, everyone. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Echo.
Fuck that shit.
Fuck
Don't
off,
say
fuck
that,
you,
Woody.
motherfucker.
I don't want you to say that ever again.
Go, Pack, go.
There you go. There you go.
See you.
Packers